When it comes to the AI age, I think classical education is going to become even more important. If you don't know what classical education is, I would encourage you to check out Dorothy Sayers' The Lost Tools of Learning. I think that children learn well in key stages, right? You have the grammar stage. Kids love to sing or memorize a lot of facts and information. So let's give them a lot of information. No problem, right? When I was a kid, I used to memorize the governors of all the states of Nigeria. I used to memorize all these things that people might wonder, why are you doing that? But kids just love learning, right? Give them as much of that. So you have the grammar, you have logic, you have rhetoric, you have the trivium, you have the quadrivium. These are key terms that you'll see as you study classical education. But one of the aspects I'm going to refer to about classical education has to do with this idea of, first of all, truth and beauty. This idea of, when you learn a thing, you're not learning it just because, I'm going to make more money. Like for math, I'm going to learn math so I make more money. That shouldn't be the reason you learn math. You will make more money potentially if you go into STEM fields, they make the most money. So yes, you will make money, but that should not be your reason for learning math. Your reason for learning math, as you would see in books like this, should be to focus on the beauty, the fact that it's beautiful, independent of anything that it might do to your income. I've made these flashcards, which is also something you'll see in classical education curriculum options. This is Gutenberg and Copernicus and Galileo and Kepler. So I put their year of birth, year of death, and then what did they do, right? A little bit about their lives at the back. This is part of my 12 Men That Changed the World series for the flashcards for this. These will be available in the fall. But I bring these up because we need to think about what we can bring from classical education and from the STEM or STEAM fields, combine them into one. And I think that's the way it needs to go. We need to see classical education happening all across the world. We need to see people learning for its own sake. We need to see people flourishing in every stage of life. We need to see people articulating the things that they've learned, which is part of what you see in classical schools. We need to see people learning Greek and Latin. We need to see people learning, classical education is beautiful. One of the reasons I bring this up, right? We need to see people learning how to think well, and that will influence how they even prompt their AI. Classical education will help young people learn how to learn, why they exist, how they can flourish. We need all of those elements in the AI age. Those are going to be very critical. In a day and age where there's so much efficiency, the question is going to become, what do I do with the life that I've been given? And that's where you cannot have a neutral education, because it's not enough to just know. You also need to know why you exist. And that's where we then have to look at people are made in the image of God, and that foundation is what drives the educating of that person, or the goals and the vision and aspirations of that person, because it goes back to the one who created them. That's what classical education, Christian classical education, brings to the table. We need more young people to figure out why they exist. And we also need more young people to seek to do and be all that God has created them to be, and to go out and to make an impact in the world that God has made. My goal is to raise the next generation of scientists, mathematicians, and thinkers who also know the history and philosophy of science, logic, and theology. Welcome to STEM excellence. Welcome to an era where classical education can be given to way more people because of the availability of the internet and tools like apps and websites. Stay tuned for more. My name is Amos Tarfa. Have a blessed day.